Hey everyone, welcome to Battlefront Banter, episode 2. Illuminator Liam. Um, we just got back from Cascade Clash, um, run by our friends at Aegis Games. It's not Aegis. It looks like it's Aegis, but I've been told it's Aegis. Aegis Games down in what do you call it? Mount Vernon, Washington. At the Skagit Valley Fairgrounds. It was a 107 person 2-day major, 6 games. Well, 6 games for some of us, not all of us. Having that tournament land right during spring forward was a real kick in the nuts for some of us, and some of us had to work at 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So I did not make it to game 6, but our guest today certainly did. Today we've got with us Liam, and Liam, I don't know how you made it to game 6. Liam basically flew in
Just better
Friday
than you,
night.
Chris.
Oh, well, I mean, Necrons are better than me. That's for sure.
There we go.
Liam flew in Friday night and like late, didn't get into like what, 9 o'clock, Liam, on Friday?
Yeah, I got home at 10:30, I think, from the airport.
Yeah, 10:30. Gets up early in the morning so that he drives down to Mount Vernon, which is an hour and a half at least.
Factoring an extra hour for the border.
Yeah,
I think it was 5:30. My alarm went off. It was a long day.
It was like boss man, and comes down and he goes 5-1, and gets second place for paint. Good job there, Liam. And then 8th for overall, with only 1 loss, and that loss was 90 points. So Necrons can score points. That's for sure. So
8th chip and 1st overall between the 8th and the 2nd for paint.
So Settlers of Saitan, sir.
Indeed.
Want to go over this dirty list?
Yeah, so Settlers of Catan, because I'm running 3 of them. So I got Nightbringer, Void Dragon, Transcendence down a little bit further in chronological order.
God, so many
I've got it's a lot. So people take Assassinate sometimes if they don't realize it's a trap, trying to kill
because Saitan
more than one Catan. Yeah. I've got the Hexmark Destroyer, and then I've got 2 Technomancers and 2 units of 6 Wraiths. I have Dimensional Overseer on one of the Technomancers rather than the Hexmark, which is where a lot of people put it. That's the extra unit in the sky, so I can put 4 in the sky rather than 3. Some people like putting on the Hexmark. I like throwing my Hexmark away to score, behind deploy. So I'd rather put it on the Technomancer, which I'm already trying to protect.
Hey Steve, nice to see you in chat.
To protect that 5-up field of pain.
What's the fulcrum?
And the fulcrum is Deep Strike.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so that unit now natively Deep Strikes, which I don't think I ever used in the tournament, if I'm being honest. So I think that one's getting dropped for the there's a 6-inch auto advance enhancement, so it's going to be that instead.
So we're looking at race.
Yeah, race, and then 2 Doomsday Arcs, which were clutch all weekend. 2 solo Locust Destroyers just for scoring some points. And a unit of Tomb Blades as well. Yeah, 30 points for
you got rid of the
top 6 wounds.
No DACA Destroyers?
Yeah, so the DACA Destroyers that I was running before became a 3rd Catan. They became the Nightbringer.
Gotcha.
I cut them from the list. I ran them at Heroes, and they did work for me, but I was like rolling like the big dice that I had to try to do it. So I was like, this is crazy. I need to get a little brick of dice to try to get the amount of time that unit takes to activate down. And I got a little unit of dice with like all my dice like out there, counted out. The fastest I could roll that activation was 2 minutes. And I was
too many rerolls.
Yeah, because it's you're rolling 36 dice, picking up misses, re-rolling those, counting all of your 5s and 6s, adding in more dice for those, picking all that out, re-rolling it, picking all the 1s, re-rolling those, picking out all the 2s. Like, it's just nightmarish. It's so much time. So the you know, particularly getting off a flight and playing 6 games. So
Yeah.
I swapped him in for the Nightbringer, who is kind of just a lot more straightforward. Just run him at the enemy, and smash face, and he did some good work for me over the course of the weekend. So I was happy with him.
So game 1 is mission A, take and hold, chilling range, search and destroy. Right, it's a good first mission.
Yeah,
Nice and
yeah,
easy.
it's nice and easy right off the bat. I'm playing
Zach.
Mr. Zach over here, who's playing Grey Knights. So I played Grey Knights on stream against our teammate Daniel.
Yeah, that didn't go
and
so well.
and it did not go so well for me. He had 3 big bricks of Terminators that I just couldn't interact with at all, and he had 2 Grandmasters which have now the good ignore modifiers. So those units are a really big threat to the Catan and can drag him down. So I was concerned about that, and so I spent kind of a lot of time thinking about this matchup. So I am worried about that when I rock up against Zach here. But Zach has a very similar list to Daniel's, except that he cut a unit of Terminators for 3 Nemesis Dread Knights. And I think he's got a Grand
Yeah, he
Master
has
also in a Dread Knight. Yeah.
Yep, Grandmaster. And then 3 a Terminator squad, Strike squad, Nemesis Dread, Paladin squad, big Paladin squad, 450 points. Man, that's chunky. And that's the list.
Yeah, so unlike Daniel's list, he has, you know, 3 big chunky Dread Knights and no chaff. So, you know,
you have pictures of this one, don't you?
Yeah, and I do have pictures of this. I have a couple. Yeah, so this is the game after my first movement phase. You can see he's got, you know, a couple baby carriers in reserves, I believe, and he's kind of got a couple in here. So I'm kind of looking at this and thinking, okay, well, I'm just not too concerned about the damage profiles on these Dread Knights. They don't really hurt anything in my army. They're really good into the field, but just, you know, they don't do too much to Wraiths. They don't do too much to the Catan. They're outranged by the Doomsday Arcs, and the Doomsday Arcs just kind of cut through them like nothing. So
did he have the flamers on him, or did he have the Psy cannons or whatever they're called?
Looks like he has the heavy incinerators and heavy Psy cannons and Nemesis Demon Great Hammers. I kind of heard what they did and was like, oh, okay, I don't think they hurt too much of my stuff too bad. So I'm really just worried about that Paladin unit. So you can kind of see, so this is the end of my first movement phase. I get first turn, which I don't love against him. So I kind of screen against the 9-inch Deep Strike. And then I move up, just jam a unit of Wraiths up here into the top left corner with the Nightbringer. And then I move, this is actually the next turn. If you want, just bounce it back to the previous picture. Yeah, so I just jam up here in the top left, Wraiths and Nightbringer, so he's not going to go anywhere near that. And then I bounce just the Transcendent Satan up here onto this right objective, and then the Void Dragon into this middle objective. And he decides that this one on the right is going to be the softest one for him to deal with. And so he picks up his unit of Paladins and kind of wraps them down here. And then I think he picks them up, he drops them, and then he makes the 9-inch charge into the Transcendent Satan onto the objective. But he doesn't get all of the guys in there, so he leaves that guy alive on, I believe it's 3 wounds. And he then falls back, and that's the next picture. Is what happens after that. So he picks him up. I fall back those Wraiths. So this is after the Wraiths charged in. So he, I fall back the Satan. I drop my first Doomsday Arc here within 12 inches to get around his Lona. That one shoots into the Paladins. The Paladins are -1 to wound. So this Doomsday Arc is hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, Doesn't have dev wounds because it's hyperphased, so it's kind of bouncing off his 4-up invuls. So that one, it shoots him. He decides not to pull them away because he wants the point. And it kills. I don't even think it kills one guy. I think it bounces off. So when the second one goes to activate against him, right, and it's also got shots into his his Terminator unit way up here in the top, just north of the middle objective there. So yeah, that one there. So it's got shots into there as well because a couple of them are in that building, so I can see them. So he's thinking, well, this first one didn't do too much. This second one probably isn't going to do too much either. And then it pops off. It rolls. I think I roll like a 5 or a 6 on the number of shots. It's hitting on 2s. It's got dev wounds. It wipes like half the unit. The Wraiths, the Wraiths have also like moved up, flown over it. They had done their little mortal wounds thing, and they shoot, and then they charge in. And I think, and then the next picture is I think right after I've whittled that down to 1. So he, like 1 or 2 guys. And so he brings these Dread Knights in to try to shore up here. But then I bring the, by then this guy's healed up because I move up. He goes down to like a couple wounds, but then he heals on my turn. The Technomancer comes up, heals him for another D3 as well, because that's the big kind of synergy in this list, is that the 2 Technomancers and the Wraith units can also heal the Catan for an additional D3 wounds. So it's just, those Catan take an enormous amount of punishment, and there's kind of, by the time, and these guys, I can't remember the OC on them is, but I've got like 4 Wraiths on that objective plus the Catan, so that's OC. Yeah. That's OC 12 on that objective, right? He's kind of getting really hard for him to take that back from me. So that's kind of how that game ends. I think that he should have pulled his Paladin unit like the first time I either moved close to it or shot at it, and preserve that resource. And I think that's it was really hard for him to come back after that. So that game ends 97-62 for me, most of which is he only got 20 on primary, so that was which was those Wraiths. And the next game is against Mr. Caleb Raymond. Caleb,
no pictures for this one.
Yeah, no pictures for this one. Caleb, which is a shame because Caleb had an absolutely beautiful Death Guard army. He was self-proclaimed just there for the hobby kind of guy. But looking at his list, it's pretty savage. And he's got Morty, which is scary because he's got an ignore modifiers aura. Lots of people, starting to realize that's the best way to deal with Catan and bring in lots of stuff to deal with that. So he's got a bunch of the characters locked up into 2 big Plague Marine squads with all the fixings. It's got one of them in a Rhino, one of them in a Land Raider, and then a bunch of other stuff. And then triple Plague Burst crawlers. He's got 1 with the Flamers, 2 with the entry cannons, and
they're hanging out with Morty.
And those are hanging out with Morty. So this is, he's saying, "Oh, I'm just here for the hobby," right? They're coming around, and they're, the paint judges are commenting on our armies. But I'm looking at his list and it's like, well, I don't get any of my chaff in this game because ignore modifiers with those Plague Burst crawlers is just going to blast them right off the board. And this is the creating new objectives mission where I can't just deep strike with scrambler fields, so I can't deep strike onto them. So this is actually a really tough mission for me. I think. I do end up winning this game, but I think this is the first time I've won this mission because it's just a really rough one.
That was on the ritual with scrambler fields.
Yeah, ritual scramblers. So that's just a really tough one.
Yeah, well, I got some thoughts on that mission. See, here's the thing. I hated that mission, right? Yeah. I've always hated that mission. I actually now don't hate that mission nearly as much as I used to. I think it's at the right spot in either the 2 or 3. Where early in the tournament, but I now hate Purge the Foe way more. way more. And don't worry,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
gonna get to it.
We're
But
gonna get to
I
that one.
really
you
don't
worry.
like Purge the Foe, man. I never really truly experienced how devastating it is going second against a really good opponent. And I played Tarzan on that one, and
Ooh, yeah.
I got whooped. It's been a long time since I was like, I know I'm not playing the most competitive list, but I was like watching him move, and I was like, oh, I don't even know how to play this game right now.
Yeah,
Like, it was
Tarzan's
pretty
real good.
embarrassing.
He's
Yeah,
real
no.
good. Yeah, he I've only played him once, and he beat me round 4, I think, of a event down in Olympia. So yeah, and he ended up winning best painted, actually. Tarzan, his
Oh,
works
it
are
was a beautiful army.
absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful.
And then
But yeah, so as was kind of just real quick talking about this game,
with Caleb.
because with Caleb, it's also gorgeous. So yeah, I mean, basically this game comes down to, what I'm trying to do is not make a bunch of objectives that my opponent's going to score, because that's what I've done before, and try to push him on his. I also know, he's going to want a death ball up around Morty, so I got to pick him apart and try to, not fight him in multiple places on the board, because that's something that my list does really well that his list doesn't. And where this game really turns is that I get, let me just pull this up. I'm pretty sure it's turn 2. Turn 2 investigate signals, which is really easy for me. So I just kind of, because I've already got stuff up in this guy. And I was going to put my hex mark into his back corner, and then my Transcendent Satan safely in one of the other corners, and decide instead to put my Transcendent Satan deep in his corner, where it is within striking distance of Morty and his Land Raider full of a giant scary squad of Plague Marines. I know that if he pulls it all back to deal with the Catan's going to die. But I also know that if he pulls it all back to deal with the Catan, all of that might as well be dead, and I'd take it out of the game. And he even said that he knew that it was trapped basically when he does it, but he did pull his all of that back. He shoots the Catan, leaves it alive. He has to charge the unit in to finish it off, and then I just kill the Land Rider behind him and strand that unit in the far corner of the battlefield, and that's just way too much for him to lose on. And he ends up only scoring 30 on primary and 20 on secondary. So that one goes.
Did you take
89 to
tactical
60
every game?
No, I
No?
did not.
Okay.
But I did a lot of games. So this was I take tactical anytime I'm concerned about whether I'm going to be able to kind of play in the center on objective sort of game. And he's got those big scary units of Death Guard here, and I kind of don't want to be playing that game with him. Right?
Yeah, and you don't want him to know where you're going to be, because he knows what you're going to do, so he can predict Morty and
he's got a lot of stuff, right? Like I'm kind of so I can't be playing with my my chaff in the way I want to. So this was a game where tactical was just going to be better, and I score 39 out of 40 on tactical on this one. So I think that was the right choice in the end.
And then on to game 3, which is the most exciting game that you played.
Game 3 against Jake, who had just finished walking through our friend Jake in a Jake off.
Oh, Jake, poor Jake. He did not have a good tournament either. So.
Yeah, he did. Well, and this list is savage,
I like this,
right?
Did you see the name of his list? Walls aren't real. They can't hurt you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Kool-Aid Man happening on this one. For those of you that don't know, Kool-Aid Man is their ability to go through walls.
Yeah. So that's going to come in a lot, because we play. So the terrain was really beautiful at this event. It's all 3D printed by Mr. Don Plummer, I'm pretty sure, actually.
Yeah, Donald Plummer, I believe, did the designing, and they did have some tables that were less good near the bottom, but where they're going, what they're showing you near the top, that's exciting to see. It's really nice terrain.
Not one of the ugly tables. It was really pretty.
You didn't play on the Necron table?
No, I didn't get to. There's one that's even Lee, who was one of the Aegis guys, messaged me and was asking about my scheme actually, because he's like, your scheme's awesome. Like, we're making a Necron table. I want to do that kind of table with a similar scheme. So I've got a home field table at Aegis.
Here, I'm
that
just
I have
I'm
yet to
just gonna
play on.
quickly run down his list real quick.
Yeah.
So
So
he's
Knight
got the
Lancer.
Lancer. Yeah,
That's that's a scary one. Knight Lancer,
that's
then a
what
bunch of
Noah
War
ran,
Dogs.
right?
Yeah,
At MTT, right? When Noah came up, he ran the Lancer. It's terrifying.
it's absolutely terrifying. And then he's got a bunch of
Briggs,
brigands with the. They all have the indirect.
multi-launcher. Yeah,
Yeah, and then he's got a whole bunch of them with the Melta, and then a whole bunch of
carnivores.
carnivores.
Oh, oh.
And then he's got some allies. He's got 2 units of Nurglings and a Beast of Nurgle.
I highly recommend that Beast of Nurgle. It is super hard to kill.
Yeah,
for
right.
something
really
that's just
cute
70 points. 70 points, sits on your back home objective, survives indirect. That's his job.
And I never got anywhere close to it because I knew that that thing can hold a Transcendence to 10 up for like a number of combat rounds if I don't roll.
I mean, I like this
roll
list.
too hot. Yeah, this list is terrifying.
Yeah,
I have
Dan
a really.
Miner played him.
Ooh, yeah. I wonder who he played. You should take a look. He ends up 4th, right? He only loses 1 game to. Yeah, who does he lose to? I think he loses to. Does it show? I think it's red and green, so I am being colorblind. Can't figure it out.
Colorblind guy wins. Comes second in paint, guys. Step your game up. The colorblind people are coming for you.
Right.
I'll just gonna take a quick minute right here just to shout out Heroes in Mid-Table Spring GT. 31 of 40 tickets sold, so there are only 9 left. Scan the QR code on the screen if you guys are interested in coming to one of our tournaments. I know some of you Americans have passports, not a lot of you, but if you do come up, everything's like 30% off. Look at it that way. So if you guys are interested, help us support us up here, and QR codes on the screen. And go ahead with your game there, Liam. I got pictures for this one. That's right.
Yeah, you do.
So interesting pictures. Hold on. I'll go grab those. Go ahead and start talking.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, basically this is this list is terrifying. Chaos Knights do the Necron thing better than Necrons do, which is be durable and have lots of OC on objectives.
Well, the OC I will give you. I don't know about the durable. I like
well, they've got it's all nasty stat check, right? Getting through all.
It is a stat check.
And and I do not. I've got the 2 Doomsday Arcs, which he's afraid of, but I just don't really have enough anti-tank to chew through him as fast as he's going to chew through me. Because like all of that Melta is really good at killing Catan. This Knight Lancer has 12 damage attacks, which go down to 6. I think it's either that or it's 8. They're super high damage attacks that even with the half damage are still doing crazy damage to my Catan. So and then the Wraith units can't stand too much. And it's OC 13 for unit of Wraiths, so it's only, losing a few Wraiths before one of his guys is out OCing them on an objective.
And this is one of the tables that is gorgeous and 3D printed and done up excellent. This is what's actually it's this terrain that when I didn't get a chance because I wasn't on those type of tables to be able to play on those, but I am excited to see where they go in the future with it.
Yeah, but what's interesting with these ruins is that the walls, like all of those spikes, are more than an inch thick. So he cannot fight through these walls at all, which is an interesting rub. And we do take a look at that and agree on that before the game starts. So I kind of deploy substantially out in the open here. My Doomsday Arcs are worried about his Melta, but I've got the range advantage on him, and if I deploy out in the open, then I know, covering a bunch of those lines. Then, if he moves into them, I can hit him on 2s with dev wounds,
Well,
which
you
is
have a live program without some tech problems here. So you just keep going while I figure out why the mirroring software has decided to crap out.
oh, whoops, it is. Yeah, I was just like, hey, put that picture back up.
I want to put the
Yes.
picture up. Trust me.
All right. Yeah.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah. So basically,
ahead.
the first turn. He gets first turn,
Yep.
and kind of just moves up.
And we should say this is Purge the Foe, my clearly favorite one.
This is Purge the Foe, right? So this is kill more, hold more. And this is not what an army with a lot of chaff wants to be coming up against Chaos Knights on, right? Because his kill 2 is picking up a 5 wound tough 5 Hexmark Destroyer and a 3 wound tough 6 Locust Destroyer, and I have to chew through 12 wounds of tough 8 or no tough 10 5 up invul War Dog, right? Times 2. Like it's rough. So
unless you get into combat, and then they have no invul at least.
Yeah, but there's so tough to take down in combat, right? Even the Catan, like the Transcendent's only strength 9, so he's wounding them on 5s.
Yeah.
So that's not great. So basically the way this game goes is that his turn 1, he kind of just moves up in stages. And
this is his turn 1 right here, or is this his still in deployment?
Still in deployment. So this is at the end of this is at the end of I think this might be turn 1. End of turn 1. Yeah. So he basically just moves everything to where I can't see it, where he's staged. And there's not too much I can do about it. So the end of his turn 1, I pick up the Void Dragon, and I kind of move the Nightbringer just a little bit up to the edge of this objective, because at this point he can strike from behind this ruin into my ruin, no problem, because he's like move 14, right? And so he can walk through this walls, and then he can walk through the walls with 1 command point, and then charge through the wall with another command point. So that's not I in my Katana only move 6 inches, right? So he's got a massive charge range advantage. So I kind of have to put my Katana in harm's way. So I put that up there, and then I have these 3 Tomb Blades, and I kind of use them to just kind of block out this area just behind them. So they kind of fan out a little bit, and just fan out so that his knight can't easily land there. And then the Void Dragon I pick up and I hold him back and keep him reserves. These wraiths push up towards this objective. I just put a toe on there, and just to kind of push the issue, and kind of just leave it at that. And then his turn, he's got a Carnivore and the Lancer, and he just pushes them both right at my face.
I'm assuming, did he Kool-Aid Ben at this point?
Yeah, Kool-Aid Man. I think he Kool-Aid Man the Knight. Yeah, the Lancer right through, and the Brigand just ran up and around. And then he also has, I think, 2 Shooting Knights and 1 Carnivore in reserves. Those end up coming up here at this top objective, and just kind of overwhelming my wraiths that were the only things holding it there. And so, but this is really the clutch here, is that his he shoots, he kills 1 Tomb Blade, and I pull, because they're -1 to hit, right? And he doesn't got, I think it was all with indirect shooting. So, but that 1 Tomb Blade does matter though, because I pulled the wrong one. And so he goes to charge phase. He charges the Carnivore into the Void, or the Nightbringer, who's here. And then at the end of his movement phase, I rapid ingress the Void Dragon, just kind of where these wraiths are here, 9 inches away from the Brigand.
These wraiths
coming
or
at
these
the
wraiths?
Nightbringer. The bottom ones.
The bottom ones. So you're all loaded up down here.
Yeah. So I pulled the Void Dragon so he would know where it's going. Saw the Nightbringer all on his own. Thinks like, oh, there's a squishy target. I'm gonna come at him. Then I drop the Void Dragon back down there to kind of try to close the trap, catch him between the two Satan. And he charges the Carnivore in first, and now I'm kind of like, aha, I've sprung my trap on you here, because now your Lancer can't fit. And I'm gonna be able to kill this guy, kind of on his own. I was thinking I could deal with one of the two of these knights, but not both.
So that's who he lost to. I guess he lost to the guy who lost to Naj, or the guy who won the tournament. So
okay, so that must have been the.
So this game comes down to a pretty big spicy roll. Two spicy rolls. One that you need Noah to come over and deal with, right?
Yeah. So that's this one. So he's, so where I was getting to is, he goes, okay, well, if I can't fit here, right, like down at the bottom, what I can do is I can charge through this ruin.
This one
and
hit
here? Your tomb blade. No, the same one. He can charge through the ruins and hit the tomb blades. And then what he can do is he can tank shock the tomb blades, because the Knight Lancer gets a second, free tank shock. So it's got one of those free strats that you can use a second time. So his Carnivore tank shocks the Nightbringer, does like 4 mortal wounds to it. And then the Lancer, I get Noah over, because I'm like, okay, this is a tricky thing. Let's just get TO over to make sure that there's no feels bads on this. Noah comes over, he looks at it, he's like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. I see you can charge it. Let's see what your charge roll is before I tell you whether or not you can do it. Because it was like looking like it might be like might be a 9, might be a 10, might be an 11, depending on how it fits. He rolls boxcars though, so it's kind of just a non-issue. So he sails right over that ruin. He hits the.
Yeah, he's good with the 6s, I hear.
Good with the 6s, yeah. So blasts right through those tomb blades, hits the Nightbringer, kills it. And so that's tough now, because that's a big asset that I have for killing knights. The Void Dragon ends up. He goes in, he kills. Gets revenge for his fallen brother. Kills both of them. But I've lost a lot of tempo, and he wipes me off his top objective. I wipe him off his bottom objective. It's really down to the wire. It comes down to my turn, bottom of 5. I'm looking, and he's got, I'm looking at
whereabouts on the map is this going on? This battle,
basically
the big saves that are coming.
So basically, what happens is it's kind of a wash between the other two objectives. He ends up coming around from the top one, swinging around and taking my home field objective from me.
So you're coming from here, and
he's coming from there. Down. So he's got one wounded Carnivore on my home objective, and then he's got one wounded of the shooty ones. I can't remember what they're called. In the center objective. And so I need to, I get both my secondaries. I think I went. Did I go fixed in this one? I did go fixed in this one. I went bring it down, deploy homers, which I maxed both of. So I maxed secondaries. So it really comes down to whether I can even him on primary. Because if I can get even to him on primary, then we're golden.
Right.
And
this is where purge the foe and the killing is.
So I need to hold more and kill more. So I need to kill both of these 2 wounded dogs. One of them, I have to move this bottom, because he kills the other Doomsday Arc. I have to move this bottom Doomsday onto my home field objective, and then kill a 4 wound Carnivore, which I do. And then I have to move the Void Dragon up towards the middle objective. And then I have to make a 6-inch charge into a war dog that's on 6 wounds, which I failed to do, and then command point reroll into a 6. Get in there, so I'm on no command points. And then all I have to do is kill. So the Void Dragon does d6 plus 2 on every one of his swings.
He has 6 wounds, right?
Yeah, and he's got 6 wounds, right? So that's on a 4 or better, so 50%, 1 attack through is going to kill it. Right,
I'm hitting on dice 2s. Tray, guys, right here.
I'm hitting on 2s. I drop 1 to hit. I'm wounding on 2s, anti-vehicle 2 up. I drop 1 in wound, so 3 go through. I need one of them will be do it 50%. 2 of them will do 100% of the time. Yeah, you can
Saving on,
know
what
where
is he
this is
saving on?
going. Save on 6s.
Saving on 6s.
With
Three
AP3.
saves, correct?
Yeah, 3 saves. Which he makes all 3 of. So
yeah, that is the sexy that is the sexy picture, people.
So the Dice
That's
Tell
how
story is we just had a good laugh, right? It was a great tight game coming right down to the end. You know, I'm not angry about losing to, you know, to someone rolling 3 6s. It's just, it was hilarious. We had a great laugh.
double 6s to make the charge in the one clutch moment, and then
Yeah.
triple 6s to make the saves to deny you the kills more and to lock the game. That is
And to lock the
pretty,
game. It was
that's
epic.
pretty epic.
And like, you know, there's things that I threw some wraiths away at the top objective. I could have seen how that was going to go and preserve those resources. And there's kind of a couple other micro things. Like I could have screened out better from that Lancer, you know, hitting the Tomb Blades, right? I said I pulled the wrong one. If I pulled a different one that was closer to me, then he wouldn't have been able to make the 3-inch consolidate into the Nightbringer. So
Well, those Pacific Northwest guys really like
but,
Chaos Knights, so they're pretty good with the Chaos Knights.
they're good with the Chaos Knights, yeah. So if you go down to Washington, you got to expect to play Chaos Knights. There's a lot of good Chaos Knights players down there.
Yeah, for sure. And now
Simon Savage.
that was your one loss.
So that was my one loss, and I lost my second Catan of the tournament in this game. So I lost game 2, my Transcendence Catan, and then this game, my Nightbringer.
And now we're moving on to game 4.
Day 2. So
day 2, where we're all extremely tired because everyone found out that at 1 o'clock in the morning it became 2 o'clock in the morning magically because of spring forward, and we were up pretty late talking about a bunch of stuff and in the hot tub and what have you. And Shane saved Dan Miner's life, stopped him from drowning because he fell asleep in the hot tub.
All right. The hot tub that was like fully 35 minutes away from the venue. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Dan was so obsessed with the hot tub, we basically drove home.
Yeah, basically drove home. Yeah, Cass was going to come in and hang out with us. And I called him. It's just like, have you put this into your route planner yet? He's like, yeah, I'm seeing it's 30 minutes. I'm like, yeah. And you're right by the venue. It's going to be an hour of driving to come see us. So you prepared to do that? He's like, no, I'm not prepared to do this.
But no time.
Little tourist area.
I mean, if you had come down Friday night was a blast.
It would have been lovely, but
it
was lovely having the hot tub. I had a great soak in there and kind of salved my wounded muscles.
And now we're on to game 4, which is
game 4 against Tyler,
Chilling Reign, and Crucible. I like Battleground. That's the one when the one objective disappears in the middle. Not everybody remembered that apparently, but
which is so funny.
Yeah, it's so funny when the TO's walking around pulling your middle objectives.
Right. And but no middle objective. And my opponent, I roll up, is playing World Eaters.
Oh, this is a sexy one. We got some nice pictures, but let's quickly go over his I'll go over his list here real quick. He's got Angron, Lord Avocado, as he's affectionately known. A bunch of Jackals. Not too many. Okay, just 1 unit. 8 bound, Exalted 8 bound, Exalted 8 bound, Exalted 8 bound. I think we're seeing a theme here. The Lord of Skulls, Chaos Spawn. So some cheap guys for being annoying and holding objectives. I mean, there was a guy with 3 Lord of Skulls. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what they do. I haven't played against them, but I know what the 8 bound do. So
they hit hard. The shooting is okay, but in combat, he's like strength 20 something ridiculous. Let me look it up. So yeah, he's strong. He tank shots real hard. He was pretty scary. Angron's scary. I don't like anything that's super combat-y.
That's crazy. What a crazy statistic. I know you can't see this, but I'm looking at how many people are watching live.
Yeah.
And there's 4 people on YouTube and 23 on X.
All the
So
X. There we
that's
go.
crazy
Love it.
because they can't comment unless they're paid subscribers. So it's kind of interesting to see those numbers. So here we are. So actually, we got some pictures here. So I will pull this up. We're gonna try to do a better job in the future, guys, with the pictures. But we were pretty freaking tired, and I'm surprised
Yeah,
we didn't remember to take these.
I'm usually better with the pictures, but I only took a few when I was. I mean, I'm usually at least good at taking a picture right after deployment, but and taking pictures of exciting things. But this one, I basically only took a couple
This
pictures.
is definitely after turn 1.
This was after turn 1. So this was did I go first or second in this one? I went first, which is also not great for me because it means that I'm going to have to move up to get any tempo whatsoever, and he's just going to run at me on his turn 2 and smash and so this is really not where I want to be. So I deployed I was like reasonably cautious. I tried to just cover sight lines with these doomsday arcs that had no shots at anything, right? He scouts everything back into his corner back here to protect. This is actually this is top of 2 is what this is, right? So he just moves back behind here to stage, right? And so I'm like, okay, so now I gotta go at him. So I've been asking him for his threat ranges. Everything is way outside of his advanced and charge range. And he comes up and he stages, and I relocate, like 1,000 points of my army up here to try to overwhelm a flank. And I put 2 Doomsday Arcs worth of shooting. I have a Locust Destroyer up here as well. Most of this unit of Wraiths, and all of it is going into these 2 8-bound unit that are up here behind this building. Yeah. And I kill 1
8-bound.
1 8-bound with all of that.
Not
shooting.
1 unit. Not 1 unit.
1
8-bound.
Single model. And I'm like, oh, all right. Well, that's really not good because now I'm about to get hit in the face with 2,000 points World Eaters. And he had his Lord of Skulls off the table, and so he's about to come on now as well. So I've pushed forward quite a ways up at this top left flank to try to keep him from coming on anywhere interesting with that Lord of Skulls. He ends up bringing it down in the bottom right corner.
Down here?
Yeah, and you notice the Nightbringer is also not on the table because he's off on the side, ready to rapid ingress, which is pretty much my standard play with him. I'd pull him up, and then I'd rapid him somewhere interesting after my opponent's turn 2 movement. And I've also, once again, bounced my Transcendence to 10 way deep into his deployment zone here, hoping that maybe I'll lure Angron back there. Yeah, so I stick him right there next to his dice tray, so he has to be staring at him, taunting him. And yeah, so now it flips over to him. If you click to the next one, so I bounce with the turn of shooting, and then he goes in with everything, and then this is after his turn. So he goes in with all of his 8-bound into my Wraiths. He brings his Lord of Skulls, shoots it into his bottom Wraiths, and then puts more 8-bound down to there. I think he holds his Lord of Icast back. And he kills 1 Wraith with shooting off the Lord of Skulls, and then another Wraith off each unit with combat.
And I see you took the bait up here with Angron in your Kaitan.
Did take the bait with Angron. So he goes into Angron, into the Catan, basically taking Angron out of the game. So but he's a lot faster than when I did the same play against the Death Guard guy. So I'm not getting that much breathing room. But he goes into the Transcendent Catan and he bounces. He only does 6 wounds. I think
you told me about this. It's kind of funny.
Because he's only wounding it on 3s, right? Because only.
Yeah, your
I'm pretty sure
toughness
he might have had
11.
+1 at
Yeah, I
wound.
think
Yeah,
he's like strength whatever 18, 20, but
he's
it's not
strength
strength
18,
22.
right? Yeah, it's not strength 22. So he's unless he had +1 at wound, I don't remember if that's a thing. But I think he just had rerolls. Anyway, so yeah, he goes in, and so he's wounding me, on threes, I want to say. With his big, like, he's strength 16, D6 +2, but his D6 +2 halved. He's got extra attacks on the charge, but even that's
It's
not
so
enough to
wrong.
do it.
It's so wrong.
A bunch of
Half
them bounce
damage.
off. A bunch of them bounce off with 4-up invul. A bunch of them bounce off, and then the half damage. And then I get a bunch of feel no pain. So I think he ends up doing 7 wounds.
And then you heal.
And then and then the Transcendent Catan goes back. He's hitting on 2s, wounding on 5s. But his D6 damage attacks are not halved. He ends up doing 11 wounds to Angron in return. And then he falls back. He heals. On his turn, Angron goes in again, fails to kill him again, and then gets my Doomsday Arc shoot and failed to do any wounds, which is hilarious. But then he charges in with Angron, fails to kill the Transcendent Catan again. The Catan kills him, and then Angron doesn't come back before the end of the game.
That is very insulting to Angron. What happened there? Just so you know.
Deeply funny. So I've only played World Eaters twice. The first time I played him, I actually consolidated a unit of Lich Guard into Angron, and just pinned him there because he doesn't have a fallback in charge, which
This is a pretty nice
funny.
picture. Again, you're on another. I guess that's what happened when you're near the top of the tables. You get to play on the nice train.
I get to play on the nice train. Yeah, this one's just beautiful. Like those windows.
This is beautiful. Yeah, that's what I was just looking at it. I was like, those windows are nice.
Yeah, right. It's like a little bit of the then a little bit of light sort like OSL on them.
And they were doing the GW templates, which I deeply appreciate. I'm a big GW template fan.
Yeah, I wish that they were smoked.
I agree. I did think the same thing. Or
nobody ever smokes them though. Or they were the neoprene ones.
Or what do you call it? Another thing they can do is if they have a laser cutter, they can frost the edge.
Yeah, frosting the edges would be great too. But it's better than player placed. That's all I'm.
Oh God, yes.
Or WTC,
sorry, FLG.
Also trash.
I mean, I get why they do it, but I don't like it.
Yeah. So this is where.
What do we got here?
Yeah. So I over here he's bringing 8-bound in. I rapid ingress the Nightbringer, wait kind of back bottom left corner here before he charges in. So he was back. So this is after he crashes through a unit of 8-bound, moves up this direction, then kills something off of this. So he kind of comes up here. I think he hit on the other side of this ruin, killed a unit that was there, and then consolidated onto this objective to steal it from him, which is pretty cheeky. And then I think the Lord of Skulls ends up going into him, and then he doesn't kill him, and then he kills it in return.
Oh, I guess that's a close-up shot before Angron
This is an
disappeared.
action shot. It's just before Angron.
I mean, what a sexy army he had.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
it was
the red just looked so good with the black.
It really does, and the kind of the board is a little bit
Angron-y
too. So Angron.
I like.
So
it
was
like that.
This is I had a bunch of really beautiful games, and this is one of them. So it was really nice. It's fun doing disrespect to Angron because he's got an amazing stat line that just doesn't do well into Necrons at all.
Your blue really pops when you get in close like this, though. That shows your. I know to you it's all gray. I know you're about to say you're not a dog.
The blue. I'm not a dog. Yeah, I can see some color. Come on, man. The blue. I did a first pass on the blue, and it was very kind of monotone. I've been going back through and adding in the brighter blue to actually, kind of finishing it off and doing the pop, and it has really been paying dividends. I'm really happy with how it looks, and the wraiths look so good from the top down perspective.
So this game, was it a close one or no? Tactical or fixed?
What did I do in this one? I think it was, so it ends up 81 to 66. I did go tactical because, again, I'm worried about him pushing me off the midfield objectives and kind of having ones that I'm afraid to go anywhere near. But had I done the math, I think I might have respected his army a bit less because he's just got awkward damage profiles to both the Wraiths and the Satan.
I just remember walking by you and you were laughing at, you guys couldn't kill each other. It was the game of no death. And then all of a sudden Angron dies and I guess you go off.
So. Yeah, well, it was, we kind of, so basically the issue with this game was that, he struggles to score well, I was going to say he struggles to score primary, but I didn't score that much primary either. He struggled to score secondaries though, because like once we kind of got stuck in, I just have more OC on objectives, and I have way more chaff for running around doing objectives. So this was Tyler, right?
Yeah, that was Tyler.
Yeah,
Tyler
I ended up
over.
Yeah, so I ended up scoring 33 on primary, 38 on secondaries, and he scores 36 on primary, but 20.
We got to talk about this game right here.
Yeah, so that's game 4.
Civil War. He's not in the chat, so you can say whatever you want. Well, not
there
that
we go.
Anyways.
So yeah, so game 5,
which we have no pictures of, but
which
that was against MTT's own Mike Garcia, member of the stream team, and his custodes.
Yeah.
And so how did that go?
We played this same mission
which
on
was
stream.
Supply drop, chilling rain, search and destroy.
Yeah. So this is a really bad matchup for the Necrons into the Custodes, because he, once again, much like the Chaos Knights, plays that OC game better than we do. So, and he has access to ignore modifiers. He's just really tough to engage with on objectives.
Yeah, so, Trajan's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, Trajan's a pain in the butt. He doesn't have great profiles into the Wraiths, but he will, he will eventually kill the Wraiths, and the Wraiths will not kill him in return. So I'm really down to the Catan as my primary damage dealers. I added in the Doomsday Arc specifically for this matchup. And what I think really won this game for me is that we played this game on stream, and I learned the right lessons and he learned the wrong lessons from that game.
Ouch.
And he so he was really afraid of losing Trajan's unit to the Doomsday Arc shooting at him. So he plays really cagey with Trajan. It ends up being my objective that stays until the end of the game rather than his objective. So that helped as well. But I see he infiltrates his assassin into one of the quarters, kind of like the bottom right corner. I don't know if you have a picture of the deployment zones.
No, no.
I mean the mission.
Oh no, no, that I do not have. But it is something that it's probably good for us to do in the future.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So he infiltrates his assassin down in the bottom right corner, and I see that there's like a nice clean place.
Oh yeah, I guess I should bring up his. Let's bring up Mike's list for the other people. I mean, I know his list. I didn't even think about
bullshit.
It is. I'll go over it real quick. Blade Champion with Ceaseless Hunter, which gives him the reactive move. The Shield Captain with Inspirational Exemplar. That one I don't remember off the top of my head. Trajan, who does all the things. Valerian, which is kind of spicy. Yeah, I believe gives out like Armor of Contempt or something like that.
Yeah, it gives that Armor of Contempt.
Yeah, and then 2 guard squads, both with spears. Alaris Custodians, 5 of them, so he can do a little upsy downsy once. And 5 wardens with spears. Another unit of wardens with spears. Did he actually have spears this time? Sometimes he has axes.
I don't know. There's custodes. They all look the same.
Yeah, no kidding. They're golden boys. Witch Seekers and the Kalatus Assassin, which almost every Imperial player has if they can get their hands on the model.
Exactly. So he's got the Kalatus kind of out in the open. I think he forgot that my Transcendent Satan can do the jump turn 1, and so he's kind of left her out in the open. I get first turn in this game, and so I look at it and I go, okay, well, he's gone tactical.
Your
And,
video's clipping a little bit there on your
oh shit,
in and outs. There you go.
there we go. Yeah, it's because it's
Got to be
dark in
centered.
here. Here, let me just turn this light on, see if that helps.
Yeah, it helped a lot. I can't see you. There you go. That's much better.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sun's gone down, so it's just gotten dark. Yeah, so in the game on stream, I went tactical. And in this game against him, I learned my lesson from that, and I went fixed because he can push me off objectives. The objectives are disappearing, so I couldn't score a whole bunch of secondaries against him. Whereas if I, he doesn't have enough activations to kill all of my chaff and kill me, right? Because he's only got so many units. So I go behind deploy. Yeah, because I know he's going to have to come forward. He's not going to be able to screen me. And
what was the Omega objective?
Indirect. The Omega objective?
Not the middle.
The middle. Oh, how did it go? I think the middle disappeared first, and then the bottom right objective disappeared second, and then my objective, like top left, disappeared. Didn't disappear.
Okay.
So I put Wraiths and the Void Dragon on that objective, and I kind of held the Nightbringer towards the middle. But then I popped my Transcendent Satan up turn 1, and put him right up against the board edge, within sight of his Kalatus Assassin, and go on an assassination run to try to take it out. Because I know that if I kill that Kalatus Assassin, he's on tactical. That's going to massively, if I kill the Kalatus Assassin now, he's got to use like Guardians and Wardens.
Expensive units. Yeah, very expensive
units, right? To do objectives.
And they're slow.
Right? And so that's going to be bad for him. I've got 6 shots hitting on 2s with exploding 6s, wounding on 2s. I roll like nothing but 1s, and then he makes all the saves. So I fail to kill the assassin, which is frustrating. But I'm like, oh, I just threw my Satan away. But I'm thinking, well, if he's going to kill it, he's going to kill it with Trajan. And he's going to have to pull Trajan's unit basically out of this game, in order to do it.
Which is a fair trade.
Which he does.
Yeah.
So he charges Trajan's all the way to the board edge, and he is no longer relevant in that game. I have other units. Like I realize I have to pull him apart, make him fight me not on objectives, if he wants to kill my stuff. And so my Doomsday Arcs, I have a bunch of Doomsday Arcs, a bunch of Wraiths, that he tries to hit that are not on objectives. So he's trying to grind through without scoring any points, right? Whereas I can kind of drop chaff down and behind him, and score points with that. And I end up scoring 20 points on Deploy Homers, 16 points on Behind Enemy Lines, which was just me throwing 1 unit at a time into his backfield to push the button, which he just couldn't do anything about. We score roughly equal on primary, me 33 to his 30. So we both get the final, like I go first, so I get to score the final objective because I had Wraiths on it. And then he, swarms all of his guard on there at the end and takes it from me. But he only scores 27 on secondary. And that's enough to clinch the game for me.
And then on to the 6th and final game, and then we'll go into some thoughts about the tournament. This one we have a couple pictures of, I believe, and this is on Mission
I have one picture, unfortunately.
Take and Hold, Hidden Supplies, Hammer and Anvil, and you are playing Bagwell, and you're playing Hypercrypt.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
So
my brain hurts just thinking about playing this game.
yeah. So
Oh my god.
if you want to have a fun time after getting off the plane, waking up at 5:30 and then playing 6 games of Warhammer,
Oh, and then
um,
going through a time change because of
yeah, you
yeah.
you play Hypercrypt on Hypercrypt, and Josh, he played in the RTT on Friday, so this is his 9th game of Warhammer
Oh my
uh,
god.
for the weekend, and he's playing the Hypercrypt off. So this was not. It was the plus side of us both going up against each other is that we both knew each other's rules. We both had relatively similar armies, so we actually hilariously this is my like 26th game, I want to say, or something like that, of Hypercrypt, and there was like a bunch of stats that I had gotten wrong that he corrected me on. Like I thought my
For your
boy dragon was
detriment.
strength
Yeah.
10, and he's strength 12, stuff like that. So it was pretty
Well,
funny.
he's
So
got
anyway,
at first I thought his list was similar to yours, and it is kind of at the top, right? You know,
yeah. So the
Nightbringer,
character
Void
section
Dragon. Yeah, yeah. But
is
then it
basically
gets a
the
little
same.
spicy down here. He's got a monolith and a Tesseract art.
Yeah,
Um, do you
and a
have any
Doomsday
thoughts
Arc.
on that Tesseract or the Tesseract art?
Yeah, so I got a lot of thoughts on a lot of his lists. So Josh is on, we're on all the same Necron forums. I've been singing the praises of the Doomsday Arcs, and he listened to me, I guess, enough to bring one to test it out, which is fun. He has the Monolith in this, which is like an interesting pick because it can only suck infantry
The,
back,
right, which is the Death Marks
which
and
is
a
the
couple
Death
characters.
Mark and the Wraiths, because there's the Technomancer in the race, and the
Oh
the
god, they get the
Technomancer
keyword
gives it
infantry.
the infantry keyword. Yeah,
Oh, that's so
um,
dumb.
it is really dumb, but really quite fun. And
Yeah, you would say that.
um, yeah, and then he's got the monolith, right? Which is I asked him, I'm like, you don't have that much to play with the monolith with, so what? So he's basically, well, it's just like a big chonky, deep striking, high OC thing that I can slam onto objectives. And it shoots well, it fights well, which it actually has a pretty hilariously decent combat profile. So I'll pull it up here while we're talking. So, like the reason that you see so many different kinds of hypercrypt lists is because they're basically just like take a whole bunch of shit and throw it at objectives, right? Deep strike it, do shenanigans, score points. So you can kind of almost have anything in the list, and you can make it work. The Tesseract Arc's an interesting one because it's fast, it's durable, and it's got it's got the 4-up invul. It's only got 10 wounds, but it's only 130 points. It's got this nasty flamer. It's -2 to be charged. So it's some interesting tech. And his has Tesla cannons on it, which are the ones that come with it. You basically have to 3D print or like pilfer from another model if you want the God's cannons or the particle beamers that it can have.
Correct. I have
Which
like
is
3 of
funny.
those things in my drawer here.
Yeah, so hilarious. One of the things that I was like, oh, it's got Tesla on it, so it can advance in action. And he was like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, oh yeah. So it was quite funny. And then yeah, so
Another
this
beautiful
is
set here, by the way. This train again, another beautiful set of train.
beautiful set. His army was really pretty. It's kind of like the grays and kind of dark colors that he had going
The
on.
monolith looks really nice.
The
Up here,
monolith, yeah, and his
here in the
monolith is
corner.
really well painted. It was lovely, and it's cool seeing a monolith on the table. It's the first time I've actually played against a monolith since like 3rd edition, so I was pretty jazzed because I love that model. I own one. I haven't put it together yet, but it's one of those.
Oh, this
things
is
on there.
Take and Hold, Hidden Supplies, Hammer and Anvil. So this is the
Yeah,
one where you randomize the split because there's no neutral corner to go to, correct?
I think
Because
that
did the pack tell you where to split?
I think there's like something that says it's supposed to be in the open.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
remember.
you know what? He has an appendix for mission for that mission. So if I'm looking
Yeah,
here, so I think he had decided on. I believe I listened to him on Stat Check talking that he was going to do that. I just didn't. I never made it to that game. This is the game I did not play.
This is the game you dropped, yeah. So yeah,
and I'm
so
glad I
think,
did, by the way, because I was toast for 2 days after this tournament. Oh my god.
yeah.
What a great rep before Wet Coast though.
Oh yeah. So I think we're down to, you said we're down to 67 players at this point in the tournament. So like a lot of people had the same
Yeah,
idea that
there
you
was a
did and dropped.
lot of drops after game 5, and we can go
Six
into
games
that
in a
after.
weekend is a lot. I can, I'm not
9
gonna.
games for some suckers like Garcia. I
Yeah.
can't believe he did that. He almost died like Elvis on the toilet.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So
He fell asleep on the
um
toilet.
that's hilarious. Yeah. So it's
I know the image, right?
sorry, I need to recover from that. Um wow. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, so this game, so I go second in this game, which is huge into the mirror match because it means I get a turn 1 drop on him. And I get that bottom 5 for scoring, which, I'm not sure how well I necessarily use that to my advantage, but I did score.
I
Let
just
me look at
realized I can
what.
zoom. Look
Yeah,
at
so
that. New tech. I can
you could
zoom
zoom
in.
in. Look at you.
Enhance.
Yeah. So I go turn 2, which does help. So he draws Overwhelming Force, which is a dead draw, and cleanse turn 1. So he, moves up, he cleanses. He actually cleanses with the Tesseract arc using
That's right
the
here, right?
advance and action tech that I just taught him. Um, and then he moves Wraiths up and he cleanses this other one right here in the middle. And then this is start of his 2, I want to say. So yeah, my turn 1, I draw Deploy, Teleport, Homers, and Assassination. So I move.
Not a bad draw.
Yeah, not a terrible draw. So I realized that I can, because you just have to be within, not wholly within,
Correct. I
to
hope they fix that
deploy.
one day.
So I get Wraiths within 6 of the center. And deploy there, and then
Looks like right
Assassin.
there.
So
Yeah.
I played this mirror round 1 at LVO, and I lost that game because my opponent figured out like a turn before I did that the way to win that game was to kill the other person's chaff. And so I'm determined to not do the same thing here, and so I bounce my Transcendence to 10. I 3-inch drop him, which is the thing I get to do because I'm going second. I 3-inch drop him back in this bottom right corner. He had a hex mark down there. Punk out the hex mark for assassinate. Turn 2.
Oh, right. Yeah, I see it here.
Yeah, right there. So I killed him. Nice and good. Turn 2. He gets no prisoners behind enemy lines. That's why he 3-inch drops the monolith up there. Top left. Yeah, so this is turn 2. This is start of his move, end of his movement, turn 2. So this monolith up here, he shoots into this Doomsday Arc that's like right here next to it, with all of his big guns, and then he shoots his like lash or something like that to kill the shit out of this poor little Locust Destroyer back there. That's where he gets his no prisoners from. He fails to kill the Doomsday Arcs. I've kind of got the Doomsday Arc out in the open here, trying to kind of trying to cover these firing lanes and get that 2+ to hit dev wounds. Because I know that neither of our shooting is really able to one tap the others unless we roll really bad on saves.
Or we're really good on dev.
Yeah, or they roll. Yeah, but exactly. So so he had to move his to see mine, right? So I think it's this is before he's placed it. Yeah, so he's just gone and placed the monolith. He's still placing the rest of his things that have dropped down. So there's kind of a couple clutch things that happen here. The Nightbringer up here goes into those wraiths, fails to fully kill them. I pull the wrong wraith. I'm pulling them out of combat, thinking I'm going to, so that I can pick them up and drop them somewhere else, run them away. Then I realized, actually, wait, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to take this objective from him and hold that Nightbringer up for a little while. So I said, can I actually leave them in combat and take this one in the back instead? Josh is a great guy, so he lets me do that. He regretted it later, but I don't think it actually made as much of a difference as he thought it did, because I still could have. What I end up doing is it goes over my turn, and I raise one of those wraiths back, stealing that objective away from him because he's OC4 and I've got now OC6 on that objective. And then I fall them back onto the objective and deny it to him on his turn, which I would have done had I fallen them back had I moved them instead of falling them back. So it only would have made a 5-point difference. But it's still very nice of him to do that.
Well, how did the game end? What was the final score?
The final game score ends up being 80 to me to 68 for him. I think it was actually should have been 80 68 is how it ends up. So that's one decision point, and then so we kind of just skirmish back and forth. You have that picture up.
Oh, you want the picture back?
Yeah.
Not that picture. Not the picture. We're not there yet.
There we go. We kind of just skirmish back and forth. I rapid ingress my Nightbringer, so he brings his Transcendent up here into these wraiths. I rapid ingress my Nightbringer, so that I can follow the wraiths back, and then hit his Nightbringer with his Void Dragon, with the 1-2 punch of my Void Dragon and my Nightbringer, and drag him down. Kill this Tesseract Arc up here, and kind of really start putting pressure on his resources. He kills a bunch of my chaff by popping this monolith onto my home field objective on my turn, but then I get the Void Dragon over there and end up taking it down. He fails a 11-inch charge into a Doomsday Arc on my objective, which by just a hair, we had to get a judge over to rule on that one. That one would have, so he's like a 1/4 of an inch. So very clearly, but this game ends up 80 to 68 for me. So just a couple things go the other way, and it's his game,
and it's a different game.
But I ended up taking
you were
down
probably
in the end.
shot. You were probably shot at the
my
end
hands.
of this game.
Yeah, my hands were shaking. My brain was absolutely cooked. I could barely string a sentence together. So this took every ounce of what I had in the tank.
Well, and then we'll get to the sexies here real quick. That would be Tyler Bartel, I believe, who also was playing Necrons. He was playing Hypercrypt, I believe.
He was playing Hypercrypt. He only went 4-2 though.
You're getting a check, I believe, sir, for coming winning best overall.
Yeah, so I end up second best Necron. So Naj, Nicholas Olsen Jensen, who's also on Team USA with Tyler. They're both running the same list. He ends up going first, but 5-1, second best in paint, ends me best overall. So I get to steal this lovely novelty check from the Americans. Hilarious, this is the first time the U.S. Wargaming Federation has given a prize at a tournament, which is the thing they want to be doing now. And their first one goes to a Canadian. So
perfect. Did they actually give you the giant check too?
They didn't give me the giant check. No, they did. They didn't even give me a check. Actually, they're PayPaling me the money.
And it hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah, it hasn't arrived yet. I did get the check for. The top prize. The prize for best overall was $750. So there's $250 from them and $500 from the organizers. Yeah. So that's like 1,000 Canadian. That's pretty nice. But I mean, we can talk about.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do that now. We're gonna. Yeah, let's talk about the tournament from an overall perspective. This is Aegis Games' first big time tournament, and they ran it at the Skagit Valley Fairgrounds, Mount Vernon, Washington. As you can see in this picture, it's in one of those sort of barn yet not barn. You could have animals in there. I believe the letters on the outside of the building said dogs. So this is where the dogs go. That's okay. The one that the War Machine players were in was the Needlepoint building. It was so funny. It was so funny. It's I actually liked the location. It was loud, but as is any place, like our tournament is loud because of the floors, right? Concrete
Yeah.
floors. It wasn't hot. I wonder what it would be like in the summer.
Yeah, it was a little cold. So I
Well,
had, you can
that
see,
by the door it was cold, that's for
yeah,
sure. But that
you
if
could,
you're
I
underneath
had
one
the
of those
hoodie on,
heaters, right?
right?
Yeah,
I got the
I
mid-table
got to
hoodie
get one of
on, and like
those.
that thing does not breathe. It is, you cook. So the fact that I had it on shows it was like I was, kind of chilly.
And
Um,
what do you call it? I mean, I like the fairgrounds. There were a couple things. Well, let's go over the things I liked. I liked the train at the top tables. I did not like the train at the bottom tables. There were some
I
train that was
wouldn't know.
just
I wasn't down
windows.
there, so
Like they were, it was pretty bad. I mean, I think I could probably dig up one of the pictures. Here, I'll take a look. The
yeah,
I liked the amount of distance they had in between. What do you call it? Oh, here we go. I got the Necron one. I'll show you. An example. And this is obviously that was the Necron table,
yeah, less
right?
than ideal.
So less than ideal. So like they obviously like they have great terrain, and I have no doubt they're gonna have like you can even see great terrain in the background. But they had like I'm gonna say probably 8 tables that were in this sort of vein. Tables that only had 3 inches for the first floor instead of 5, which is pretty much standard. Those are like
Yeah,
my
I
only
played at a couple of
criticisms.
those.
But as far as the terrain goes, I mean, you have the templates, which makes up a lot. And if you have a decent opponent, you're going to talk about what you're probably going to have, like this area in between here, right here. Most people, like I played on tables, not this table, but a table that was similar to the Tyranids version. And we just agreed. I played Tarzan. We just agreed, like, you can't see through this if you're on the template. Otherwise, you
Yeah,
touch the template and you can't be out in the open, right? Um,
exactly.
um,
Yeah,
so I will say that would probably be like the worst case sort of scenario that we saw there for terrain. And I know where they're going because as you saw when Liam was on those pictures at the higher tables that I didn't get to, that the train is excellent. It's actually superior to most tournaments. Um,
yeah. So I mean, having not played on any, I didn't play in any of those worst tables,
lower
and
rank
they're
tables.
random. They were randomizing the tables for the first day. So that was just pure luck that I didn't get one of those tables. Just giving Chris shit there. So
Hey, that's
I
fine.
played
I'm
on
used to it. I give shit
beautiful
all the time,
tables,
so I can take it.
and
So,
there's a couple of like there were like the chaos one I played on. It was spiky. I think I stabbed myself on it a couple times, which but it was also beautiful. So I see where it's going. This is the first time they run this event, so the fact that the terrain was this good was pretty incredible. Honestly, like I've played at events where the L's are made of styrofoam, right? That they glued together and then spray painted the night
so
before.
that like this is my game
So
with Tarzan that I was talking about with the Tyranid stuff in the middle, and we were playing on the Thunderdome. And as you can see, that's where we came and talked about our agreements, and we also had the less than ideal floor height. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna like these are just little things. They're not major things. They're just things that like obviously just talking about. Um, but
something I'll say on this one is that like the templates make such a difference
oh yeah,
on
you
an
can have
event.
average terrain and it will be fantastic on
Yeah, like having played on this kind of terrain in previous editions, right? Like where like it's just night and day the difference that having those consistent templates in the very least, like even if there's just nothing on them, it's more playable than a lot of tournaments I went to in kind of ninth
and
edition.
I will say you did not need a cart here. There was ample spacing to put
Yeah, there's
your
tons of space. Some of the edges were like a little bit tight to like get through, but my cart sailed through everywhere. There was lots of sideboard space, which was delightful.
yes, the sideboard
Um,
space. Everybody had a 2 foot by uh 4 foot section to
yeah,
like it was big. So that was great. Like people, like Shane brought his display board, and he had every time he walked, and it's a big display board, and he always had a place to put it down. Huge fan of that. They ran the tournament really good. If you got into their Discord, they had a judge calls section. So every judge call they did, you could go and read it live, so you would know what the judge calls at the tables were, so that the judge calls would always be the same. Really like that. Really like that.
Yeah, they had lots of judges too, and there were
good
the room was
judges
a little
too.
loud, so you had to yell really loud sometimes. But you know, I never had a difficulty getting a judge call, and the judges were all great. I didn't get any rulings to the table that I was unhappy with. They were really good at just coming over. And there's a couple times like that night Lancer charge where I just pulled the judge over, you know, proactively to say like, hey, this is a weird thing. You know, can you help us out with this? And they're right there and great.
And probably the only other, okay, there's two other things from how we play tournaments up here that were less than ideal. One was the toilet situation.
Oh yeah.
Like there was 2 toilets and 2 urinals for the guys and a handicap washroom on that was close to the 40K players. And then there was another washroom in the building that the Magic players in the Malifaux and the War Machine players were.
Yeah. By
That
the end
washroom broke, by the way. That washroom was out of order.
And then the other one.
And the other one had a urinal that was overflowing. And just so you guys know, if you're only going to have 2 crappers, don't order a taco truck for your lunch, because they had a taco truck for their lunch, and it just seemed like a bad idea with the bathroom facilities. But
the porta potties might have helped, but that's, you know, I mean, that's often, you know, you have that many guys all at once, we do horrific things to the toilets.
Yes, no, for sure, and we're gamers,
Right.
so
A bunch of war gamers. Yeah.
But other than that, the only other thing, it turns out there was great food nearby, by the way. That burger joint, what was it called? Dari's Delight or something like that?
Oh yeah.
It was like
cheap,
amazing. I was like,
super fast.
I was like, get that thing to cater. It's just up the street. You could walk there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the food situation was great. There's lots of stuff nearby. Quick drive away. Some stuff I really liked. I really liked that they did best in factions for all the different factions and shouted people out.
Best in bracket too, right?
Best in bracket too. I really like they made a really good effort to you know, call people out and give people you know, some acknowledgement for their achievements, you know, which is great, rather than just doing kind of like, you know, first, second, third generalship. I really like the paint judging and how that was, right? It was like a combination of self-scored and judged.
Yeah. Shout out to Kazra there for that. He was the head paint judge.
He's the head paint judge. He did a really great job. And, you know, so I had 2 judges because, you know, Cass is best man at my wedding. So, you know, he's not exactly an impartial judge. So I got judged by him, and then I got judged by Lee as well. And, you know, so, you know, I got 2 judges to experience that, and both of them were great. They gave me a lot of feedback. He came around when I was playing against the Death Guard player, gave him a ton of great feedback on where he can take his army. And that's something I think is super important for organizers to do.
What did you feel about the round times? The time in between the rounds?
Yeah.
They gave us like an hour and a bit. It felt like after each game. And I'm not used to it. Right. So I like it because I felt it really cut down on the social scene. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a long chat with McWhirp about it on the drive home. So playing Hypercrypt, I loved it. Right. Like my brain is like running in the red zone at the end of every game. And I really need that time to just like reset, refresh. So I'll, you know, when I have to go like 15 minutes from one round to the next, I'm arriving in that game, you know, with my tank, you know, not fully recharged, mixing metaphors. And, you know, that's hard on me. Like mid-table, like where all the rounds are like right up against each other. It's kind of rough. LBO is the same.
Like that,
yeah, right. Which is not that much time when you have to like pull all your shit and put it on the table and take it over. So I really like this. It was good to get in food. It did cut down on the kind of social time, particularly in the evening.
Yes. There was
Which is not
basically
helped.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, not helped when you have to drive 35 minutes to get to your Airbnb either.
Oh, yeah.
But
Okay. Well, that was part of it for sure. But when you're wrapping up at 9 o'clock, there's not too much going on. Like, I mean, you do have a next day. And by the way, it's an hour short because it's spring forward.
yeah, it's not ideal. But I mean, the
So
spring
I
forward
liked
can't do
it,
too much
but I
about it.
didn't like it. I think the part of it that I didn't like was it killed the social scene. And there was no social scene to be had there, which I think they could, if they want to keep that, I'm totally fine. There was nowhere to go have a drink, hang out. Like there was no like bar area,
Yeah,
picnic table area, where you could just hang out with gamers. And because the hall was pretty there was space, but it was almost like everybody was like, I don't know how
yeah, and
what's
they're
the
kind of
best
like
way to describe it.
like get out, like we're setting up, or we're packing down so we can get out of here. So
Yeah. So,
um,
but other than all, great event, great first
yeah,
event,
great. I
and
mean, the fact that it's a first event, like it felt like all of the things we can nitpick, like I feel fair saying those maybe to like an event that's been running for years,
like
but for
LVO.
like a yeah, I mean like and like compare like this event was it felt like they've been running this for years, and this was the first time that they're running an event this big. So I thought it was a fantastic event. I really loved, everything about it.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Well, I give it an 8 out of 10, and that's
I
and that's and that's their first time round, right? Like that's a great score. Like as far
yeah,
as I'm
no,
concerned, I'm
fantastic
going
score.
back. They're going to run one in October. Hopefully, it doesn't land on Kippers.
Yeah,
Hopefully they coordinate that because I'm going back. Right?
yeah,
It's
and
nice to have
I
the
think I will too. Yes, it was
yeah.
a fantastic event. It's right across the border. It's a great venue.
I just think take that
I
money
think it
for
was
the
great.
cash prizes and rent some porta potties.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that, right? So the cash prizes, real quick, right? What do you think of cash prizes?
I'm not a fan because I know this was their first event, so it didn't bring out any extra dickish. And we're in the Pacific Northwest, so we're already a little bit more chilled than the East Coast. Um, but it does promote, in my mind, like the worst in people when there's money on the table. Like I almost wish they would just give store credit and like I know
Yeah,
it's like the same thing, kind of, but like cash is different. Like you know what I'm
yeah.
saying, right? It's
I feel the same. I don't love cash prizes. You know, give everybody lunch, right? Like, you know, you know,
like
I think
reinvested into the experience, right? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
reinvest into the experience, right? I would rather go to an event where everybody gets free lunch, and just has that brought to them at the table. Like that's a bigger draw for me than, first, second, third gets a prize.
Yeah, I mean, you're already getting
And
the bragging rights, right?
yeah, right, exactly. Like
And the
I would have
trophy and the ITC points and
Yeah, like I would have showed up, I would have fought just as hard, I would have painted just as hard, um, had I not known that there was. In fact, I didn't actually know that there was a cash prize until Noah came up and was like, "Liam, you're tied for second in painting. That's $150 in your pocket. Like if you get best overall, that's 750." Like that was the first time I learned that there was a cash prizes. He probably told me before at LVO,
I
but I
mean,
was
you
pretty stoned.
basically you made a grand
Yeah,
going to the tournament. So next
yeah, which
Airbnb you're paying for.
I'm not angry about that, right? Like that took a, big chunk towards my Mexico vacation that I was just on. But I would rather in the future that be reinvested into the experience, so that everybody kind of gets to enjoy it rather than it going to the top prize. Cause like, there are bad apples who, that might be enough to push them over the edge, give a bunch of people a bad play experience because they're pushing hard for a cash prize.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
think we're
people
in
fight.
agreement on that.
Yeah. People
But
fight just
still,
as hard.
yep, it's a great experience. I'm gonna wrap this one up. We went a little long. He's like, how long do you want it to go for? I don't know, 30, 40 minutes. We're in an hour 33.
Sorry.
So all you heroes
I'm
that
hard to shut up.
shout out to X with like the vast majority of the viewership at like 35 people continuous on X right now. To the one person on Twitch, please follow and sub. And to everyone else, we got to give a special thanks to our YouTube members, Chainsaw, Go Burr, Mac Thompson, Enemy, Alex Y, Jay Falco, and Gerard Mann, and Donald Plummer. Thank you guys for basically giving us money, buying us a coffee every month, for not getting much other than an MTT logo beside your name if you're on the YouTube chat. So, and getting shout outs. So I'm just going to wrap it up here, guys. Look at me. This is, we do it live. It's going to be like this. Okay, guys. Got anything you want to say before we leave here there, Illuminar, Liam?
Yeah, it's all great. Thanks for having me on, and see how
that's
it
a
goes.
wrap, boys. Catch us on another, after Wet Coast, we'll be doing another one, interviewing somebody, and maybe we'll do a pre-game show. And this Sunday, we have our Proxy Wars sponsorship video where they donated some models, and Daniel painted up a knight, and Patrick painted up a Tau commander. And we're going to play those. They're beautiful models. They're going to talk about their experience with them. And we're going to do some giveaways with some of the other stuff they gave us. So that's a wrap, boys. And we'll see you Sunday.